Tonight, we're going to drift slowly beneath warm ocean waters and explore the quiet world of coral reefs. A living landscape built over thousands of years, full of gentle movement, soft colors, and steady growth. As you relax and listen, you're welcome to support the channel by liking the video and subscribing, so more peaceful nature stories can continue to unfold. Now, let's sink slowly into the clear blue sea, where sunlight dances through the water and life grows one tiny layer at a time. Coral reefs begin with tiny coral larvae floating through the ocean like drifting dust. When they find a warm, shallow place to settle, they attach to rock and slowly begin building hard skeletons beneath them. Over time, layer by layer, these small creatures create massive reef structures that can stretch for miles. Coral reefs grow very slowly, often only a few millimeters each year. What looks like a solid rock wall is actually built by countless tiny coral animals stacking their skeletons layer by layer. Over hundreds and thousands of years, these thin layers become massive underwater structures. A single reef can be older than many human civilizations. Most coral reefs form in warm, shallow water where sunlight can reach the ocean floor. The light helps tiny algae living inside the coral create energy through photosynthesis. This partnership keeps the coral healthy and allows reefs to grow stronger over time. Without sunlight, most reefs could not exist. The clear blue color of reef water is not an accident. It happens because reefs thrive in clean water with very little floating dirt or mud. This clarity lets sunlight pass easily through the water, feeding the coral and warming the shallow seas. Each coral colony is made of thousands of tiny animals called polyps. They open like small flowers at night to catch food drifting in the water. During the day, they close gently while their algae partners make energy from sunlight. Reefs often grow along the edges of continents and islands where ocean currents bring fresh nutrients. These slow-moving waters feed the coral without damaging them. Over time, reefs follow coastlines like living borders between land and sea. Some coral reefs can be seen from space because of their size and bright color. The Great Barrier Reef stretches over thousands of kilometers. It is the largest living structure on Earth, built entirely by tiny coral animals. Reef structures help calm ocean waves before they reach shore. The hard coral walls break the force of storms and reduce erosion. This natural barrier protects beaches and coastlines, shaping the land quietly over time. Coral skeletons are made of calcium carbonate, the same material found in limestone and chalk. As coral grows and dies, these minerals stack up into thick reef rock. Over millions of years, old reefs can become solid stone formations. Temperature plays a huge role in reef health. Most reefs grow best in water between about 23 and 29 degrees Celsius. Even small changes outside this range can stress coral and slow their growth. Reefs create complex underwater landscapes with caves, ridges, and gentle slopes. These shapes guide ocean currents, slow water movement, and trap nutrients. The reef becomes its own small world within the larger ocean. Coral reefs can take thousands of years to fully form. What begins as a few tiny coral settlers slowly becomes wide platforms and rising underwater hills. Each generation of coral builds on the skeletons of the last, turning time into solid structure. The reef is like a slow-growing city made of stone. Different layers of a reef often tell a story of the ocean's past. Lower layers formed when sea levels were lower, while upper layers grew as waters slowly rose. By studying these layers, scientists can learn how Earth's climate changed over long periods of time. Warm ocean currents help spread coral larvae across large distances. These tiny, drifting forms can travel for weeks before settling. This slow movement allows reefs to grow in connected chains across entire regions. Reefs often begin near volcanic islands or rocky coastlines, where hard surfaces give coral something to attach to. Over time, the coral can grow outward and upward, sometimes forming rings around islands. In some places, the original island sinks while the reef continues rising, creating wide circular reefs. Sunlight fades as water gets deeper, which is why most reefs stay close to the surface. In very clear water, coral can still grow dozens of meters down, but the richest reefs stay where light is strongest and warmth is steady. Ocean waves gently shape the outer edge of reefs. The side face in open water is usually strong and thick, built to withstand constant motion. The inner side is calmer and often forms smooth lagoons with slower water flow. Sand around reefs often comes from broken coral and shells. Over time, waves grind these hard materials into soft white grains. Many tropical beaches are made from the remains of ancient reef life. Some reefs grow faster during warmer periods in Earth's history. When oceans were slightly higher and climates were stable, reefs expanded across large, shallow seas. During cooler times, reef growth slowed or paused. Reefs can repair themselves after small damage. Broken coral pieces sometimes settle nearby and begin growing again. This natural rebuilding helps reefs slowly recover from storms. The shape of a reef affects how water moves across it. Curves and ridges guide currents that bring food and oxygen to coral. These flowing patterns keep the reef healthy and balanced. Coral reefs grow best in places where the ocean stays clear year after year. When heavy rain washes mud into the sea, it can block sunlight and slow coral growth. That is why the healthiest reefs are often far from large rivers and muddy coastlines. Clear water lets reefs breathe and build steadily. As reefs rise higher, they sometimes reach the ocean surface and stop growing upward. From that point on, they spread outward instead, creating wide, flat reef tops. These shallow platforms can stretch for many kilometers and hold calm pools of warm water. Over very long time, old reef layers can sink as Earth's crust slowly shifts downward. New coral grows on top of the sinking structure, keeping the reef close to the sunlight. This slow balance between sinking land and rising coral allows reefs to survive for millions of years. Storms occasionally break coral branches and scatter them across the reef floor. While this looks like damage, many of these pieces survive and attach to new spots. Each broken fragment can grow into a new coral colony, helping the reef spread naturally. The water above reefs often feels warmer than deeper ocean water. Sunlight heats the shallow seafloor, and the reef rock holds warmth like stone in the sun. This creates a comfortable environment that supports steady coral growth. Reefs change shape slowly as waves wear down their edges. Hard coral resists the motion while softer parts break away. This steady shaping creates smooth slopes and curved walls along the reef. Some reefs form long barrier walls that run parallel to coastlines. These barriers sit a short distance offshore and create quiet waters between reef and land. The calm areas allow fine sand and plants to settle. When sea levels drop during cold periods, parts of reefs become exposed to air and stop growing. When water rises again, coral returns and builds on the old surface. This layering records Earth's long climate history. Minerals carried by seawater slowly harden reef rock over time. This process strengthens the reef's foundation and allows it to support more growth. The reef becomes tougher with age. Over thousands of years, reefs can redirect ocean currents around islands and coastlines. Their presence changes how waves move and how sand settles. In this way, reefs quietly reshape nearby land. Coral reefs change color throughout the day as sunlight moves across the water. In the morning, soft blue light makes the reef look cool and quiet. At midday, bright sunlight brings out warm yellows and glowing whites. As evening comes, everything fades into gentle shadows. The water above reefs is often so clear that you can see far into the distance. Light beams stretch down through the ocean like slow-moving ribbons. These rays dance with the movement of waves, creating calm patterns across the reef floor. Reefs create natural soundscapes underwater. Soft clicking, crackling, and gentle pops come from small movements and life within the coral. Even when waves are calm above, reefs quietly hum with steady underwater noise. The temperature near reefs stays fairly steady compared to deeper ocean water. Shallow sunlight warms the sea each day and cools slowly at night. This steady rhythm makes reef waters feel calm and balanced. During storms, reefs act like underwater shields. Strong waves crash against the outer reef walls and lose energy before reaching shore. Inside the reef, water stays calmer, protecting coastlines and beaches. Reef lagoons are often smooth and peaceful compared to open ocean. Water there moves slowly, reflecting the sky like glass on calm days. These quiet spaces feel like natural underwater lakes. At night, reefs look completely different than during the day. Shadows deepen, colors darken, and the water becomes still and quiet. The reef feels like a sleeping world beneath the stars. Some reefs glow softly under certain lights because of natural pigments in coral. These colors can appear green, blue, or purple when light hits them just right. The glow feels almost magical and calm. The shapes of reefs guide waves into gentle rolling patterns. Instead of sharp, crashing surf, water flows in smooth curves along reef edges. This creates steady, soothing ocean rhythms. Reefs influence the weather nearby by warming shallow water during the day. Warm water rises into the air, helping clouds form slowly over islands and coasts. In this way, reefs quietly shape local climates. Coral reefs create natural underwater cities made of stone-like shapes formed over thousands of years. Some coral structures rise taller than houses, with wide open spaces beneath them where water moves slowly and quietly. These spaces feel like peaceful caves where the ocean drifts through without rushing. Many reefs sit where warm tropical water meets deeper, cool currents from the open ocean. When these waters mix, they create soft layers of movement that gently slide past each other instead of crashing. This makes the reef a place of constant slow motion. The surface of coral is covered in tiny living textures that feel rough like stone but are alive and warm. If you look closely, each small bump is part of a larger living pattern working together. The reef is not one thing, but millions of small parts forming one calm system. Some reefs stretch so far that astronauts can see them from space. From above, they look like bright blue and turquoise shapes painted across dark ocean water. They are one of the largest natural structures ever created by life on Earth. Reef water often feels warmer than the open ocean nearby, like stepping into a sun-heated pool. The coral absorbs heat during the day and slowly releases it back into the water at night. This keeps the reef environment steady and gentle. Many reefs grow in shallow areas where the seafloor slowly rises and falls over centuries. Some reef sections are shaped like long curved ridges that guide ocean water in smooth flowing paths. These natural curves slow strong currents and turn them into gentle streams. The reef quietly controls how the ocean moves around it. The colors of reefs come from tiny life forms living inside coral tissues. These microscopic partners help the coral turn sunlight into energy. Without them, reefs would look pale and empty instead of bright and full. Every reef is different depending on water depth, temperature, and location. Some are wide and flat like underwater fields, while others rise like mountains from the sea floor. No two reefs are ever the same. Some coral reefs form long natural barriers that protect nearby shores from strong waves and storms. When ocean swells roll in, the reef breaks their power before they reach land. This creates calmer water behind the reef, where the sea feels quieter and more peaceful. The spaces between coral towers create slow, swirling pockets of water that gently move in circles. These soft currents help carry warmth, oxygen, and tiny food particles through the reef. Nothing rushes. Everything drifts. Reefs often rest on ancient underwater rock formed by volcanoes millions of years ago. Over time, coral slowly covered these rocky foundations like a living blanket. The reef today sits on Earth's deep history. Sunlight changes color as it passes through reef water, turning from bright white to soft blue and green shades. These colors reflect off coral surfaces and sand below, making the whole reef glow gently. It feels like being inside a moving light painting. Some coral surfaces are smooth like polished stone, while others are rough and ridged like carved rock walls. This mix of textures shapes how water flows around the reef. Each curve slows or redirects the ocean in quiet ways. Reefs help clean surrounding ocean water by trapping floating particles. Sand and coral structures act like natural filters. The water around reefs is often clearer because of this gentle cleaning process. Large reef formations can create calm lagoons on their inner side. These sheltered waters stay warm and still compared to the open ocean. The lagoon feels like a hidden ocean pool protected by coral walls. Coral limestone from old reefs eventually becomes part of islands and beaches. Over long periods, broken coral pieces turn into white tropical sand. Many famous beaches began as ancient reef structures. Some reefs form in perfect circles called atolls, surrounding a quiet blue lagoon. These rings were once volcanoes that slowly sank while coral stayed near the surface. What remains is a peaceful coral crown on the ocean. The shape of a reef affects how sound moves underwater. Inside reef areas, waves and water noise become softer and deeper. The ocean feels calmer, almost like a natural underwater room. Coral reefs slowly shape the floor of the ocean into hills, valleys, and soft slopes instead of flat ground. Over thousands of years, layers of coral skeletons pile up and harden, creating underwater landscapes that look like stone gardens. Swimming above a reef feels more like floating over mountains than over sand. Water temperature around reefs often stays more stable than in open ocean areas. The reef structure slows down strong currents that would normally bring sudden cold or heat. This creates a steady, comfortable environment where the sea feels calm and balanced. Many reefs stretch for hundreds or even thousands of kilometers in long, winding paths. From above, they look like pale lines tracing the edges of continents and islands. These natural patterns are so large they can be seen from space. The ocean floor near reefs is often brighter because coral reflects sunlight upward. This reflected light softly fills the water, making everything appear clearer and more colourful. It gives reef waters a glowing, peaceful feeling. Some reefs rise so close to the surface that waves gently roll across their tops. Over time, this creates smooth coral platforms that feel almost flat like stone shelves. These shallow reef tops help slow the ocean even more. Sediment from rivers often settles around reefs instead of drifting far into the ocean. The coral walls catch tiny particles of sand and earth. This slowly builds thicker seabeds near reef systems. Reefs influence local weather patterns by calming surface waters. When waves break over coral, less heat escapes into the air compared to rough open seas. This helps keep nearby coastal climates more steady and mild. At night, reef waters cool more slowly than surrounding ocean zones. The coral mass holds warmth like stone after sunset. This creates gentle temperature layers that slowly shift until morning. Over long periods, dead coral turns into hard limestone rock that strengthens reef foundations. New coral builds on top of this ancient base again and again. The reef becomes a living structure built on its own past. Some coral reef channels naturally guide ocean currents like underwater rivers. These slow-moving streams carry fresh water through reef systems. They quietly refresh the reef without disturbing its calm flow.